Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Malifaux and another game from the Divergent Paths World event. Tonight we continue the story of the Inquisitive Child, who, rescued from the guild by the Neverborn, has been taught malicious knitting by the Widow Weaver, and she's made herself a small but belligerent teddy and a host of puppet minions. What a good girl she is. The world does need more puppets. But now it seems that playtime might be about to end. The girl seeks her parents separated from her in the chaos of the train arrival, and the puppets can't have that. So they've drawn up a hit list of passengers and hired various groups to make sure the girl's parents sleep with the fishes, so playtime can go on forever. So this battle sees another Neverborn versus Guild game. Like, seriously, we are deep in the hornet's nest, it seems. And the guild seems relentless in pursuing each and every one of the Divergent Paths characters. More vermin for the puppets to kill. So for terrain, we've got these buildings. This is, I think it's probably height 3. Height 1, severe terrain walls. Height 3, severe terrain pond thing. Blocking terrain. And a forest. I chose to set up first because I haven't done it in a while. And we're packing a marionette. Stitch together, stitch together, stitch together, marionette, Kalodi. With Fated, Strum the Threads, and Breathe Life. Coryphy, Lucky Effigy, Brutal Effigy, and Waldgeist, who is the potential parent by default because he's the only living model in this crew. The guild have clearly got their wires crossed. Could be their lead was that their target's a plant in the Neverborn faction, or maybe just that the father's got wood. Representing for the guild, we've got the Pale Rider, a Death Marshal, the what's that called? The Brutal Emissary, with the Conflux of Judgment. Pretty striking model, that. The Brutal Effigy, yeah, some doppelganging going on. Lady Justice, with Last Stand and Implacable. Francisco, with my favourites, Wade In and Numb to the World. And you know this guy is the potential parent, because I will take any excuse to kill this guy. And finally, a Guild Pathfinder who's placed himself ever so cunningly on top of that building. So the plan, well, Claudie, the Stitch Together, and the Marionettes are going to hang out in the centre, hopefully behind this forest, and try to get the slow old guild to come to us one at a time, and have a gamble fest after the Marionettes have marked everyone for death. The Waldgeist is going to go up one flank, keep his head down, try to place some markers, but I'm expecting him to draw some heat from the guild, so the Coryphy is going to go out the other side and get me leave your mark more or less unopposed, I'm hoping. Effigy is going to make sure everyone's nice and healthy, help me out-activate the guild, and maybe slip through their lines in the late game to place some more markers. But first we're going to have to deal with that Pathfinder. Turn 1, meh, some useful low cards for pushing and defensive, so it's not really that bad, I guess. Sadly, the Pathfinder gets the initiative, hits the Lucky Effigy square in the head, ignoring armour and blasting onto everyone around him, also ignoring armour. Oh fuck, well that didn't go well. I survived the next attack with my 11 of crows, but yeah, it's a good thing I'm packing a lot of healing in this crew. At the end of the turn, the Neverborn have played really quite conservatively. Kalodi's put defensive on all of these guys, and I'm just daring Justice to come charging through the wood. I switched up my plan with the Coryphy and the Waldgeist because he sent the Pale Rider down around here, and the Coryphy's just not a match for that. So I nipped over this side to bolster this flank, as I'm worried about the burial shenanigans the what are they called? Marshals can do, and I want to gum them up so they can't target my tree. Oh, did I mention the Pathfinder? Yeah, that guy fucking died. He gambled with the Stitched and lost, and then Claudie made him headbutt himself in the balls until he died of massive hemorrhage. Turn 2, double 13, very nice. I don't think I even soulstoned. And I should mention that my opponent wasn't so fortunate, despite a soulstone. So the Pale Rider comes out wide and drops a scheme marker, and I'm not having that, so this Marionette pushes the Stitched over a little bit and then runs around to block him. Now my opponent's crew is designed to do something nasty where the Guild Marshal pine boxes Francisco, which then leaves Lady Justice with El Mayor, and possibly the Emissary with Francisco's sword attack, something like that. But since Francisco's been sowing his seeds rather incautiously, in this particular scenario that would give me points. So the Marshal moves up to here to try to get into position to get my tree next turn. This Stitch went fast, walked up over here and started gambling away with Pale Rider, trying to do as much damage as possible before he gets too much prevention from his defensive trigger. One of my early activations I probably should have mentioned was, in fact, my first was to move the Lucky Effigy, and so everybody but the Coryphy and the Wildgeist have the Lucky Effigy's buff on them, which has been healing up my Stitched nicely. As we progress, my Stitch Together go fast. This one moved up to here and targeted the Brutal Effigy and failed to kill it, but that's fine. This one moved up and targeted the Death Marshal, doing some decent damage. Justice charged through and cut this one to ribbons. He did his Rotten Contents on her, but she healed up at the end of the activation. Shame I couldn't flip around for that last attack. And this is how we end the turn. The Marionette went fast, walked all the way around here and marked the dude for death. The Brutal Effigy put Finn up the sword on Claudie. Claudie moved up. My Willed the Coryphy ran into a charge position, moved to the woods, and couldn't kill the Effigy. Damn it. And then I swap my personal puppet from the Stitch Together to the Marionette. Because call me skittish, but Lady Justice is right there. Coryphy charges the Marshal, and even though it's only got 2 wounds left, I can't kill the bugger. But I'm hopeful she'll at least tie up the Marshals, and so my tree moves out and drops its forests to slow any potential charges from the Emissary should the Coryphy fall. Yeah, I'm not liking my positioning too much here. On the one hand, the Marionette and the Stitch Together could take out the Pale Rider, but there's a more or less equal chance he'll finish them off, and then I'm really in trouble. Over here, the Coryphy should be able to take down the Marshal, and I'm pretty confident my Stitched and Claudie can take out Francisco, but I'm so spread out, and in the heart of a guild crew tends to be a bit of a precarious place for puppets. And if Justice decides to put on the pressure over here, and my Coryphy falls, then my tree is pretty exposed, and I'm just going to crumble. Also, I've got no way of getting anyone into the backfield anytime soon to get me leave your mark, so yeah, not too happy with this. But turn 3 brings me a decent hand, so I can't complain about that. I think I did Soulstone here, as did my opponent, but spoilers, I think he had a pretty awful control hand this entire game. I lose the initiative, gosh darn, and the Brutal Effigy of the Guild activates, marks for death my Marionette, and then accomplice, I think he goes defensive, then accomplices to Lady Justice, who charges and kills my, I think she charges over here and kills my Marionette, but I soak all her AP to do it. Goodness, I love Marionettes. So the Coryphy goes, marks the Death Marshal and kills him, but poor Marigold gets marked in turn, I think by the Emissary. She survives him, but then Francisco chooses the moment to wade in and kills her good. But he's now in perfect position. When I picked him as the parent target, I thought he's either going to hang around at the back, which is going to be a bit hard to get to, but it won't be the most effective way of using him, and will take a good chunk of points out of my opponent's crew effectively. Or he's going to get stuck in and be pretty easy to kill. So it seems like he's gone aggressive, and we'll see if he's man enough to take the consequences. Over here, my Marionette marks the Pale Rider for death and scrabbles at it, doing a damage. Pale Rider comes over here and tries to kill the Stitch Together, but can't quite do it and gives it reactivate. Mwahaha. The Wildgeist charges Francisco, doing a little bit of damage, just trying to draw out the stones. And now it's time for some good, wholesome puppety fun. The effigies go, putting their 0 actions on Claudie, who bubbles out the luck of the draw to the Stitch Together. And then Stitchdy has a rough and tumble with Frankie. Both take damage, my Stitch Together ends up on its last wound, reactivating. Gambling again, putting Francisco on hard to kill. And then because I don't really have very many good cards left, and I don't fancy my chances, I farm some cards off him, pulling the 13 of Crows into my hand, very nice. So we go to this Stitch Together, and he's only on 1 wound, doesn't have any effigy buffs, so that 30 is pretty handy. As it transpires, I don't actually need it, because my opponent goes through a rotten run of luck, and I end up boning the Pale Rider pretty hard, killing it, and then running off over here. Goodness, I love Eternal Nightmare, and score another mark for death. But wait, that's not the best part, because now it's Claudie's turn. I breathe life into the Stitched, I make Francisco butt punch himself to death, I do the same to the effigy, and then I use my bidding on the Emissary to make him hit Justice, with his back-in-the-box action, which, thanks to the conflux of judgment, enables him to target friendly masters. And this just shows what a good sport my opponent is, and telling me that's something I could do. And so yeah, at the end of this turn, things are not looking too hot for the guild. Turn 4, is it curtains for the guild? It seems so when I win the initiative. The brutal effigy comes up here, fears not the sword on Claudie, and shoots at the emissary with the red joker, so putting slow on it. Claudie accomplices, goes fast, and blazes away at the emissary. Moving it over here, stealing its first activation with idle hands. But it's not enough, and the thing survives on 1 or 2 wounds. I was moving it over here to keep it within range of my Stitch Together, but also take it a little bit further away from the Wardgeist. The emissary goes, can't do fuck all because of Claudie's conditions. I idle hand him over here into the pond for shits and giggles. Justice jumps out and charges Claudie. No, wait, sorry, I lie, she charged the Stitch Together. Bringing it down. Boo, hiss, and yeah, no, I think I don't have a personal puppet anymore. This little Stitched frolics up, taking down the emissary just a little too late, and everyone puts pedal to the metal, trying to get into position to put down a marker, at least score 1 point for Leave Your Mark by the end of the game. The marionette's just here soaking up his markers. Turn 5, the initiative would be quite nice, but it's not to be. Justice is super fucking pissed. She attacks Claudie and I Black Joker the defense. She does 8 damage, which I Soulstone 2 to prevent. Push over here, and she follows up with the Lethal Strike. No. But revenge is claimed by the Stitch Together, who frolics through the forest and hits Justice with a double severe damage. Oh my goodness, my opponent is so unlucky. And I feel so very, very dirty. And all that's left is to leave my mark in the guild's backfield. That's the game, ladies and gentlemen. The final scores: the guild scored 0 for killing the potential parent, 0 for Leave Your Mark, and 2 for Mark for Death. The Neverborn scored 3 for killing the potential parent, 3 for Mark for Death, and 1 for Leave Your Mark, making this game 7-2 to the puppets. That was a really fun game, and my opponent took it really well, even when his cards decided to turn around to take a dump on him, and you gotta respect that. Stitched Together with the Lucky Effigy, Luck of the Draw buff is just dirty. Whenever they attack, so long as they're flipping rams, they're healing, so I can potentially miss an attack, heal up past hard to kill, and slam myself for damage getting reactivate again. Anytime my opponent attacks me, that last attack runs the risk of the same thing happening again. It is chancy, but in practice I think all of my Stitch Together got reactivate every turn. They are so much fun to play with. But that aside, I don't think I played that great. I ended up spreading myself out too thinly and not getting past the opponent's lines until turn 5 is pretty bad for puppets, especially against a relatively low model count guild crew. And really this game could have swung easily the other way had fortune smiled a little differently. So yeah, so while I like this crew and I really want to play it a whole lot more, I do need to practice, it seems. But yeah, whilst both of our crews were clearly off on a wild goose chase, I can leave you with news that, in an alley not far away, the Inquisitive Child's real parents were brutally hacked to death by some puppets and a little girl selling sweets in some dingy alley. Sweet dreams, dear viewers, and take care.